Hello, welcome to my channel. So for those of you who don't know my background, I was working in a corporate job until October last year, and then I quit my job to come to Japan to study Japanese. You know what they say about the so-called impossible triangle of having money, time, and health? So I'm trying to somehow hack that. If I were still at my full-time job, I could comfortably say I have money and health pretty secured, but no time to do something like this, like here trying out a completely new life, like a newborn baby. But now I feel like for the time being, I've been able to optimize pretty well within that time, money, and health triangle. Who knows what life will be like when I get old? Maybe financially it will be a problem, maybe not. But this experience so far has been something that I'll never regret trying. I guess most people get to experience only one version of life, but I feel like I somehow has been able to hack it into three so far within one lifetime. First few months were super refreshing, and then the following months I traveled to many places in Japan, mainly to try out different ski resorts. I knew this is not what life is like to normal everyday Japanese people, but oh well, that honeymoon feeling of the first few months was very irresistible. And now I would say I'm quite close to what a humble, everyday Japanese people live like. I have to manage between school and my new part-time job, and haven't really been traveling for months now, except to like nearby towns. Anyway, here's my latest report card from school. So this is the report card for the latest quarter. Um, so for reading and listening, I think my score kind of improved versus previous quarter, and then my attendance is still perfect at 100%. But I guess once you pass a certain level, Japanese is so hard that I think I still have a long way to go compared to normal native people. And a lot of time I could say what I want to say with the right meanings and grammar. And then I was told by the teacher that this is not how normal people say it in Japanese. So much like sounding like Google Translate. So a lot of times I can find the words to express what I want to say in Japanese, but I guess to like normal Japanese people, when they hear me, they obviously know that I'm not from here. And I think for the next little while and beyond, I think I need to shift my focus on more what's being used in the real world rather than putting my effort more on the textbooks. So I'm just gonna talk over clips of like boring life in Japan. Sorry if you're used to seeing all the bright lights and fancy stuff in Tokyo, but what I'm showing just what normal everyday people here in Japan see in like quiet town. So earlier in May this year, I started looking for, like really seriously looking for a part-time job. And I went on Indeed and searched for something that may require foreign language skills, and in addition to just basic Japanese skill. And then there are some posting that came up along the lines of like tax refund for tourists and information desk at like shopping malls. And then I've found this one actually that isn't too far from where I live. It's at an outlet mall. It's a rather large scale outlet mall, and it's not far from Tokyo actually by train, like within 30 to 40 minutes. And then a few days later, I was actually contacted for an interview. So the person interviewing me is actually Japanese. So at that moment, I felt like I was just being thrown into the water without knowing how to swim, because I've never been in an interview all in Japanese. And to be honest, I was so scared within like the first few minutes. But uh, in the middle, I think I somehow got through okay, and then the interview kind of ended in about 20 to 30 minutes. So the questions were along the lines of like, tell me about your education and work history. It's kind of like walking through your resume, and then why are you why this company, and why are you motivated to apply for this position. And then next was about my availability to do like different shifts within the week. And then in the end, I was asked about if I have like any concerns or questions. And then I asked the interviewer about like would there be like other co-workers I would work with, because like I would hate to be just like all by myself at a information and tax refund counter, like without other people to talk to and get help from. So luckily I was told that there would be other people working with me. And then I also asked if there would actually be opportunity to like actually speak Japanese, and I was told that yeah, like that place, actually a lot of local Japanese people visit the outlet more, and a lot of them would actually come in and ask about like information about the outlet. So I was like, okay, that's a good balance between like honing my foreign language skills and also get some exposure to actually speak Japanese in real life. So in the end, I was offered that position, so I was actually shockingly satisfied, because like I felt like my Japanese was so terrible in the interview, but somehow I was just able to communicate the basic meanings of what I wanted to say. And I guess now I'm actually getting getting pay after so many months. But the pay is okay, I would say. Like for a part-time job in Japan, the minimum wage is probably like 1,100 yen per hour. But for my job, I'm getting 1,400 per hour. So I guess that's quite good by the standard of part-time jobs here. And then after that, I also realized like in life, when you're not trying to make like top dollar for what you can do, there are actually so many options and choices to choose from. And I mean, finding this part-time job is just one of many that I could do here, and each of them I'm sure would give me a unique experience, like just for life in general. And then it also hits me on the other hand that when you're trying to maximize financial gain in life, it really limits your options and what you can experience, I would say. Like out of so many things that's possible to do for us humans, we only get to experience a very small portion of that, and a lot of times we don't even know if that's what really makes us happy out of all the things that we could possibly do. Anyway, so for this new part-time job, it's been almost 2 months now. In the first month, it was like so hard, and there like for tax refund there are actually so many rules and regulation, and I had to like study all that pretty well because when like different types of like tourists and customer come to our desk, uh, like we got to be quick handling their requests and knowing what types of tourists and people can qualify for the tax refund. And I mean this involves like laws and regulations. So if we make a mistake, that could imply that the company could be like breaking the law. So that's how serious it is. Um, and then on like handling Japanese customers who come here to like ask for information about the outlet mall, and a lot of times on like where to park and if there's any promotion for like parking and like which stores do you have at this outlet mall. I guess uh, those situations really allow me to start to use uh, honorific Japanese in real life and just knowing how to handle their questions. And then there are also times that are quite demanding, and you have like a line of tourists and customers who, some of them who might be like kind of angry on like how long this is taking. So it really gives me like the perspective of being on this other side of the table instead of like before where I was just traveling in Japan and enjoying like all the services. Now I'm actually providing that type of services. Anyway, enough with the part-time job talk. So recently I also went to like a networking event for the industry I was working in, and there were people like who were asking like how old I am, and like they couldn't believe that I actually have quite a number of years under my belt for that industry. And it's funny, like there are people in school who are like about to like go to university thinking I might be like around the same age as them. And this might be a bit off topic, but I feel like the reason that might be looking relatively young and also healthy is because I try to exercise every day and not have too many bad habits, and just also mentally just thinking young. Like I think like having an experience of like studying Japanese and uh, being in a new environment makes me feel like I'm like growing up all over again. So I'm past that honeymoon period because now I have to kind of juggle between my part-time job and school, and a lot of times I don't even have time to properly do my homework. I have to like rush through it, and also study for like tests. And then a lot of times on the street, I also see Japanese people breaking rules, so they are not as perfect as what some of the media portrayed. So that's that. Anyway, thank you for listening to my boring story. And if any of you have like interest in like studying Japanese in Japan, feel free to leave a comment with your questions.